sites to recruit new members and lone wolf attackers around the globe. They can use encrypted communication channels to plan their crimes, some of which can be carried out with a matter of hours. The Department of Justice recognizes that terrorist tactics are evolving, and we are adapting our own tactics to meet the challenge. We can never stand still. In this kind of world, they will adjust, and we must adjust too. Which brings us to the second point. To investigate terrorism, we will need access to electronic evidence that lawfully we can obtain. Too often, technology companies have not cooperated with law enforcement or even to comply with court orders sometimes. Over just the past year, the FBI was unable to open access to nearly 7,500 mobile devices that were submitted to their computer analytics response team for evaluation, even though there were court orders and legal authority to do so. That's the technological difficulty we're facing. We can only imagine what the consequences of not getting that information could have been. We know, for example, that terrorists who targeted an event in Garland, Texas in 2015 sent more than 100 instant messages to a terrorist overseas just on the morning of the attack. What we don't know, however, is what he said, because those messages are encrypted. This failure to get encrypted information in a timely manner causes law enforcement to waste even more valuable time and resources, and it could have potentially deadly consequences. A third item that our counterterrorism efforts need is a related matter. It's the ability to surveil overseas for intelligence purposes, something we've been doing steadily for decades, I guess, since the ability to surveil ever developed. Our legal ability to do this has never been seriously challenged. The Fourth Amendment does not apply to non-citizens abroad. It's just that simple. But the law that authorizes us to do this, Section 702, that effectuates it really, of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, is scheduled to expire in just 59 days. It was put in there with an expiration date to see how it was going and required a reaffirmation. So I'm calling today on Congress to reauthorize Section 702. It is critical to what we do. It is proven effective. In 2009, the FBI stopped Najibullah Zazi, an Afghan national, from executing his plans to bomb the New York City subway system, just a few miles from where we are right now. He made explosive and drove over the George Washington Bridge. But thanks to intelligence lawfully gathered under this law, he was prevented from carrying out the attack. Today, with the international terrorist threat decentralized and increasingly online, it is more important than ever that we have this capability. Frequently, terrorists abroad plotting against this country are in contact with other terrorists in the United States, planning how to conduct their attacks. This is the key to prevention of attacks on our country. We want to stop these terrorist attacks before they occur. So I know that Section 702 has been criticized, but I believe fully, having been involved in the drafting of it, having been involved in the Armed Services Committee where we've discussed it, I believe it's a seriously important matter for the safety of our country. We've got to have our representatives focus on this and get this passed before Christmas occurs. I want to be clear. 702 does not permit the targeting of any American anywhere or even a foreigner who's likely to be in the United States. Served on the Judiciary Committee when this law passed, and I can tell you it was vigorously vetted and scrutinized. We spent hours over every word in it. It passed with nearly 70 votes in the Senate and nearly 300 votes in the House of Representatives. In 2012, Congress reauthorized it with an even larger vote. Both times it was completely bipartisan, and every court that has examined it has found it to be lawful. It is the most closely monitored law in the nation's history. We have judges, we have the IG at the Department of Justice, we have Congress and the President independent evaluations of it, and courts have always upheld it. Terrorists continue to plot against the United States, and there is no sign this threat is going away. The only question is whether we will be prepared and whether we can stop these attacks. At a time when our enemies are experimenting with new tools and tactics, we cannot unilaterally disarm ourselves. We cannot afford to let this law expire.